What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PS Pony podcast, where once a week,
Every week,
me and my best friend Ron get together to bring you all of the PlayStation and other video gaming news you need to know about. Ron, how you been, man? What's going on?
Oh, I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
We just woke up from a long Friendsgiving yesterday. I think I went to bed at like 2, like around that.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3, I think, when we went to bed. So.
Mm-hmm. And then usually whenever I drink the special water, I wake up pretty early in the night. So I woke up at like 5, and then I woke up at 8 again.
Yeah.
And then just watched some Cowboy Bebop live action. Hate it. I watched the second episode. I'm not liking it at all.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of done with it. I thought you said they had... How much of the live action have you watched?
Just 2 episodes. Just first 2.
I thought you said they had the guy all dressed in white.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying that was supposed to be...
It was right in the beginning when Spike was in the bathroom.
Yeah. Were you saying that was supposed to be the
I think
other...
that was a nod to him, I think.
I don't... It might have been.
Because he had the cowboy boots, he was all dressed in white, and there was, if I recall correctly, there was kind of like a whistly sound.
I remember you were talking about the nod, but I was... If that's the nod, that's the dumbest nod they could have done.
Yeah.
That's not how his character was.
No, but how do you work that in?
You don't even have
You know
to.
what I mean?
But... Yeah,
Oh.
it was dumb, but I'm not liking it. I'm probably gonna just give it one more episode because it's not an hour. It's like 40 minutes, and the rest of them are about an hour.
Yeah.
If the one that's 40 minutes isn't gripping it for me, I'm out.
I'm dedicated. I'm probably gonna finish it all out just because I mean I like Bebop. I like the world. I want to see more of it and everything. So
Yeah, I think if they're not gonna do a good job in 3 episodes in 3 hours, then it's not worth watching.
Yeah, I agree. But what have you been playing?
So we've been playing Warzone. I'm 1 win away from 100.
Yeah.
We have, I think, 9 or 10 days. I think 9 days today to get one more win for me, just so it's 100, because we don't know what they're doing with stats.
Yeah.
And I don't want to end it off just saying, oh, I only had 99. Gotta have a fat 100.
Right. Exactly.
So to resolve this issue, you, me, Greg, and Aaron both bought 28-inch BenQ 4K HDR monitors with 1 millisecond response time from Amazon Black Friday. So we're gonna get a W on that.
I'm really excited to hop into those later and really give them a good try because I came yesterday, so I spent the entire day just cleaning my basement and with all the wires and everything I have, just reorganizing and wire management, cable management.
Yeah, I have to redo my whole desk downstairs now.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to do that. I've been playing Far Cry this past week. Aside from us playing Warzone, I've been hopping into Far Cry. Just as I said, I think last week. Still enjoying it. It's still just plugging in a few hours every day or every few days. But really been enjoying that. I'm hoping to have it beat by this week. So we'll see. But yeah. Other than that, it's great. Oh, I got Guardians.
You did?
Yeah, it was on my Christmas list. And my brother, he stopped at the exchange on our way back from getting our Christmas tree, and I just went in with him, and they had the actual, like, the deluxe edition, like the one that comes with the steelbook and everything. I looked on Amazon to see how much it was, and you can't buy it off Amazon anymore. It's gone, and they're reselling it for like $120. They were actually having a sale, so I got it for $70.
Oh, nice.
The price of like a normal game. So I bought it, and then I like gave it to him. I was like, hey, like, here's one less thing you got to get me for Christmas. So just put it under the tree, whatever. But yeah, so other than that, man, everything's been good.
Yeah,
everything's been great in our world.
Mm-hmm.
However, things are still not great in the Activision-Blizzard world.
Yeah, don't take our love of Warzone as support for Activision, because they all scum. However, it's a fun game, and I'd like to think some people who worked on the game are not bad people, even though there have been ties to people at Treyarch and Sledgehammer as well, doing a lot of really shitty things in the Call of Duty scene. But Zach, you have a little bit more info on Bobby? This is now the PS Ponies featuring We Hate Bobby podcast.
Yeah, so we actually... Nintendo has broken the silence and has joined Sony and Xbox and making comments about their thoughts and feelings of this stuff going on in Activision. The head of Nintendo America, I believe. Is that what it's called? Nintendo America? I believe so. Nintendo of America. But Bowser, I forget his first name, Doug Bowser. What
a solid name,
isn't it?
For working at
for working at Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually he went on record to say the allegations are distressing and disturbing, and he sent out a company-wide email saying, along with all of you, I've been following the latest developments with Activision-Blizzard and the ongoing reports of sexual harassment and toxicity at the company. I find these accounts distressing and disturbing. They run counter to my values as well as Nintendo's beliefs, values, and policies. He then later says Nintendo is a safe space and they strive for an open and inclusive environment and urges anyone having any issues inside Nintendo to please come forward, and that will be taken care of and handled in a proper way. So another quote from him is, every company in the industry must create an environment where everyone is respected and treated as equals, and where all understand the consequences of not doing so. I think a lot of companies are seeing the repercussions of it if you do not do this and what's happening. That being said, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick has found himself under pressure to resign and has reportedly told the company he would consider stepping down if he is unable to quickly fix the ongoing issues at the company. That being said, there's currently a petition to have him resign that is signed by 1,000 Activision-Blizzard employees. The biggest thing for me, if you didn't know, recently it came out that Bobby actually has been burying a lot of these issues and has been not explaining to has been what's the word? Not dumbing it down, but
Your computer's unmuted.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's my iPad probably. That's fine. Well, it's not dumbing it down, but
it's just bearing evidence.
Basically, yeah. He's not describing.
He's just playing it off, downplaying it. It's fine.
Yeah, he's not. He's downplaying the events that have happened. That being said, some of the higher ups at Activision have refuted that and said that is not true. I'm sure we're gonna find more out about this coming up and later on, but So the thing that stands out to me, Ron, the most, I think, is that he said he would consider resigning if this is not dealt with in a quick manner. We've already been dealing with this for 6 months, and if I'm being honest, I don't think that this is a situation that you should be looking at with the mentality of, let's get this through quickly.
Yeah.
I think that this needs to take as much time as it needs to get to the bottom of everything and really get to the core of the issue at Activision. And I think he should probably resign at this point, and I can't really see a situation where he doesn't in these next few weeks.
If he's really interested in getting it done fast, he's just gonna leave then. And then a new head takes over that's not one of his circle of boys there as well, who should all just be fired as well.
Exactly.
And off that exec board, who should help bury everything.
Exactly.
So, yeah, if you want to get it done, just leave. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
So if you're job searching, I'm sure there's a lot of openings coming at
by quickly as possible. I'm sure he just means before there's a court date set.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
As soon as there's a court date set, that's what I'm saying. If he's not out by then, as soon as there is, he's out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that is the latest in the Activision-Blizzard situation. It's just a disgusting situation that we shouldn't have to deal with in any way, shape, or form.
But also, in somewhat relation to Activision, a former company that was related to Activision, Bungie.
Yes.
Their composer had some interesting news to say about his music specifically, which you have more info on that as well.
Yeah, so Martin O'Donnell, who composed the Halo soundtrack as well as music for Destiny and another project for Destiny called the Symphony of the Spheres, is urging people to destroy copies of his music. Reason being is, if you don't know much about Halo and O'Donnell's kind of relationship with Bungie, it is not good. There was a lot of disputes and court cases about rights to music and things like that. But the short of it is that it was a court statement that he made. I do not believe that he is happy about this. I don't think he wants this to happen. But a lot of the music that he has worked on for Bungie and everything has not been released, but it has gotten out. Specifically for the music of the Spheres. There were two people who were trying to recreate based off of what is publicly released and what there is of it. There were two teenagers who were actually trying to recreate it, and they were actually given copies of the music of the Spheres that were not publicly given, that they posted and everything, and they refused to give their source. The assumption is that it was O'Donnell who reached out to them and gave them this stuff. So part of this whole thing is that O'Donnell has to give everything to Bungie, everything he has for it. So both finished, unfinished, concept pieces, that was decided in a court case over in September. There's also a $100,000 penalty against O'Donnell because he was held in contempt of court for releasing a lot of this stuff.
It's not shaping out well for him right now.
No, it's not. And it's a tough situation because, as a creative person, it sucks whenever you build something, especially a soundtrack as notable as Halo. And even though Destiny, I don't think
middle school locker rooms shed a tear every time.
Even though Destiny's soundtrack isn't as critically acclaimed, I think, as Halo's, it's still phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's really, really amazing work. And, that does suck, but also, I don't think he handled it at all in the best way that he could have.
Kind of like Andrei Sapkowski, the Witcher franchise.
Yeah.
all his mishaps.
Yeah, cool. O'Donnell is credited along with Salvatore and Paul McCartney, as well as C. Paul Johnson for the first Destiny original soundtrack. And O'Donnell did actually publish his own VR game called Gollum, published by Highwire Games, that he co-founded the studio in 2015. So all that music in there is his. So, yeah, crazy. I actually interviewed Martin O'Donnell.
Back in the college days.
Back in the college days, yeah. Back in the college days. He's a really awesome guy. He did he was talking to the music students about just composing and making music for games and stuff like that. And a lot of the stuff he talked about was really amazing, as far as like familiarity with sound, and especially like when he went and tackled Halo 2, the way he manipulated the soundtrack in order to like introduce new music and new ideas, but also give nods to the original soundtrack that like really gets people like, whoa, I know this. Like he showed a trailer, and he was breaking down how he like scored this trailer and everything, and he made it like right when Master Chief, like you see his boots step on, that's when like that classic like Halo sound comes in, and the design of it was really amazing, and hearing him talk about it was awesome.
Do you have a link to your article still? We can put it in the description of this podcast and YouTube video.
I can. It was just for Kent Wired, so it wasn't nearly as in depth as I think that I would have made it. But yeah, I can definitely throw that link on there. So
linking it for everyone.
Yeah, if you want to read some of the old college work,
old Zachy work.
Yeah, baby.
KSU, baby.
Ooh, you can't write Kent State.
Yeah. All right, but anyway, Zach, next year, 2022, there's a lot of anticipated games that are coming out.
So many.
Elden Ring, God of War, maybe the Legend of Zelda sequel, and Starfield. But one of them is Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. And Sony PlayStation blog launched a big article pretty much describing how the world's being built, everything, like how it's basically built from the ground up. It was built for PS5, like that's how they announced all these consoles, but of course it is also on PS4 for a lot of reasons. I'm gonna just read a bit of like the concluding excerpt of it, but it's a very long article, so it'd be about a 45-hour podcast if I did read the whole thing. So just to talk about how authentic and the vibrancy of the world is, PlayStation blog goes on to say, it's not easy to create an immersive open world filled with adventure, culture, and opportunity, and sustained by detailed and well-balanced systems of progression and commerce. It took a true team effort from start to finish. Quote, when you're out in the Forbidden West, our hope is that the story is reflected in every detail of the world, says Annie, and we strive to make that happen through collaboration with the many talented teams at Guerrilla. Aloy's journey will take her through some really gorgeous settlements, allowing her to meet many interesting characters, trade for cool new gear, and prepare herself in the challenges ahead. We're very proud of what we've achieved together, says Espen. We hope the player will encounter a world that feels more alive and more real than ever. We have put so much detail into the daily lives of our people, from groups of people gossiping on a street corner to rowdy customers in the bar who burst in spontaneous song. From children playing tag outside to play fighting within the town guards, like the town guards' quarters. We hope players will take a moment to watch what is going on around them and come away with their own favorite moments. Before I finish the rest of this, I feel like that is what the majority of PlayStation exclusives do. Beginning of Miles Morales, you're walking around New York on, I think it was Christmas Day, like, or at least Christmas season.
Eve.
Yeah. But whatever,
Christmas
like
Eve,
in
yeah.
just that whole like town, like all the culture hits you. Last of Us Part 2 does that as well. God of War even does that. As barren as it is, it still has that time to shine. I feel like Horizon does that a lot. Like all PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah.
Really do it. It's really weird, but they always kind of go with that same formula because a lot of them are built so cinematically.
Yeah,
It's very
absolutely.
interesting to see.
Well, you got to think the first thing you take away is, the game can be as good as it is, but like the world you're in and the feeling of liveliness and the people that are in it is big. Like one of the things that, I noticed most when I went and played Shadow of the Colossus for the first time was how dead the world felt and just how nothing, and coming off of games like God of War, like, Spider-Man, like all these games that have these vibrant and really aesthetic, environments, it was really jarring, and it left myself feeling so, I wish there was something. I wish there was like a reason for me to explore this world and like to look at it, not just like kill a Colossus, teleport back, run out, kill the other one,
Granted, that is an old game.
No,
That's a
and
PS2 game.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And like I would love to actually see a whole remake of Shadow of the Colossus. Same plot, same story, let's fix some of the controls. But with them add more in the world. And I know, like, I guess you're kind of in like this mystical.
You're not really
kinda
going to
world.
add much more to Shadow Colossus though, because that's putting too much into it. I think that the formula that exclusives from PlayStation came into such a huge play is just because it came out in a time where there were so many open world games, but hours of running into a desert, like in Assassin's Creed games, just doing nothing, but just going from point A to point B. Everything's dead around you, or the world is so big that it's just broken and buggy all the way around. And all of them were so polished that came from PlayStation. So I was like, wow, this actually looks good. Yeah. And then you finally start seeing more third-party companies actually doing that with their games.
Something that like I love about the first, about Horizon Zero Dawn, is that the world is so dynamic with where you are. Like, you start in like pretty standard like woodsy area, you got your nice valleys and everything. But as you progress through the game, when you get to like the desert and then like the cold, and you feel, the difference in the environment. You feel the tonal shift whenever you're in those places, especially like with how the animals, do we call them animals? The mechs? Yeah. The mech animals, especially with how they change and how they're how there's variants of different types in different climates. It's amazing. And
we've all seen the underwater sequence too.
That, and it looks
so
beautiful
good
with those fish and the reefs and everything. I'm curious to see because we weren't underwater too much, and it was pretty early on. I'm curious to see if there's things you can interact with underwater, because I feel like, wow, it's pretty and everything. I feel like so many games, it's like when you're underwater, you move and that's it. There's not much you can really interact with, or even if you're being attacked. Like Far Cry, one of the things that annoys me so much in Far Cry right now is if I'm in water, there's a crocodile or a shark, I just gotta swim away. Like I can't even like melee it or try to like do anything. So I am curious to see if they do add like more of an interaction when you are underwater.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things they also talk about in this is, the different tribes and how each tribe is different. There's some that are, more secluded. There's some that are more like city based, and we even see this in the first Horizon. But what it talks about the Nora and how the Nora is more removed from society. They rely on hunting and fishing and everything to get what they need. And when you walk into the camp, it's not very decorative. There's not a whole lot of furnishings. It's like these like huts. It's very like feels like a hunting camp. There's arrows places, and and they even talk about like the way they interact. Since they're more secluded and they don't interact with people, they're a lot more wary and cautious of newcomers and things like that, as opposed to other groups that we're going to meet that are more like industrialized, more city based, where like how we in that last thing you read, they talk about a bar. You can go into a bar and see stuff. And even that city that was like raised up on that platform in the first game is massive in such a cool shift, especially playing for the first half of the game in this tribe, this hut, this very secluded area. So yeah.
And to just finish off the article, there's another quote. To work with so many teams to make sure that everything sings just right all together has been such a highlight. Our goal was to make sure that Aloy feels embodied in and engaged in the world around her. Whether she's relaxing in our settlements or hunting in the wilds, we're proud of the result, from outfits and the boosts they give to the player skills, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see like how that actually, if they actually matter or not, because a lot of games do it and they don't. So we'll see. To workbench, upgrading, and hunting for machine parts, there are so many cool new systems that draw you into the world, and we hope that you will love the game from start to finish as much as we do.
Yeah. The one thing I think that I hope for in this new game is a little more intuitive, that the weapon building and stuff like that is a little more intuitive, in the sense that like, it took me a while playing through the first game to use anything other than just my bow. It took me a long time to actually start setting traps and like kind of get everything set up and then actually engage in a fight. And then use different the element effects, using those different effects and stuff like that, and really tweaking my kit to fit what I did. So much so to the point that I think I've talked about it before on this podcast. I never actually hopped in, or I did eventually hop into the Frozen Wilds, the DLC for it, and the weapons and everything, it was just, I had no idea what was going on. I forgot how to play the game. I forgot the controls. I looked at my weapons and like, I had no idea what each one of them did, or like why I had different things. And like, I know they're like, I platinumed the game. I did everything I possibly could in the game. So everything I had, I know like that is what I wanted, and that is, what worked best for my play style. But I am hoping to see more of an intuitive, like, oh, this is what this weapon does. I know exactly how I'm going to use this weapon, rather than having to play with it for a little bit before I'm actually like, oh, this is actually like a really good weapon. Granted, that could also just be because the last experience I had with it was hopping into that DLC, where I was just like, oh, what the heck is this? I do hope to play through Horizon again before this one drops, just to get that refresh. I'm sure they have New Game Plus. I'm sure I can do that. Yeah, I almost wish, like, for like big open world games like this, I almost wish there was just a replay setting where they like kind of get rid of all the side quests and objectives and like just give you the story, to make it more of a linear game.
Right, but that is so many hours and months and
No, you're
years
right.
of just content they're gonna just throw
You're
away
right.
for your convenience. That's not happening.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I feel like maybe that could be like an accessibility thing for some people, like not having all that stuff going on, like more of a focus. You know, maybe. No, I don't know. But yeah, I am excited to see what they do with the accessibility settings because Sony has been really killing it these past couple years with accessibility, and you know, especially like obviously Last of Us 2.
They really need to have the gamepad controller that Microsoft has.
The gamepad.
Yeah, like for disabled gamers, like it looks like a turntable, but it's the controls. It's like a giant pad, so you don't need. It's not like a thumbstick to move around, but there's so many different buttons you can press to like set everything up. Microsoft's had this for years.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it was like during like the last gen cycle, but they I think upgraded it so it works better with the new consoles. But PlayStation really needs something like that, or just let Microsoft's like controller work on their system. Because I think that's better than any accessibility setting that you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not going to help, more colorblind people and everything. Like how picture settings can, but still, like that it's a really, really cool piece of tech.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that the majority, and I have no evidence to back this up, so I'm sorry if I'm misspeaking, but I'm pretty sure the majority of people who have various disabilities when it comes to gaming, I think the preferred system to play on is PC, just because there's so many different peripherals and technology that you can use and utilize as opposed to a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Yeah, this is the adaptive controller.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It sells for $100, but like I mean that's a lot of tech. You will never need another controller, obviously, with it. But it's really cool, like, because you can, basically, like, how it works, you see every button is on the back, so you plug a different cord into that, and that links up, so whatever input you do presses, like, that button for games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
There's so much tech into this. It is really, really cool.
That is
They've
amazing.
had this for a few years now, but it's like, the best thing I've seen to help people, like, it's like this. Game however you want. You can put all these different things together, so it doesn't have to be just a controller. You can plug
even
in
use, like your feet and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That is awesome.
So like if someone is amputated, like amputated gamers can like play.
That's so cool.
It is amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching like there was like a couple of videos I saw on YouTube of people like who are disabled like picking up for the first time and just like crying. They're like, I can finally like do something that'll help, because like PC is nice because you can set all your buttons, but like. If you unfortunately don't have fingers, that's hard to press. WASD.
The keyboard is not an easy thing to use.
Yeah, exactly. But it's such a cool piece. Like this too. Like you can connect. Like it looks like a helicopter pilot things like to it. It is really, really cool.
Yeah,
I love this thing.
Yeah, dude. I remember when I was in high school and I broke my hand when I was playing football. I didn't even think about anything, but it was like I think I was like coming home and they just put me in like the brace, and it was just my pinky and ring finger.
You just don't remember how much you use your pinky finger when you pick up a controller.
Yeah, so I remember I didn't think about gaming or anything, but like on the way home, like you guys were like texting in a group message being like, hey, like I'm on, who wants to get on and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I want to get. Oh my god, wait, can I play? Can I hold a controller? It was really difficult, and what I actually don't tell the doctor, but what I ended up doing was, because it was a brace. And I had some pretty good mobility. Whenever I would play, I'd actually take the brace off and just hold the controller. It's scary. It does. There are times where like if anything happens with my hands or whatever, I do get really nervous. It's like, oh, like I don't want to not be able to play anything. So
there's so many, like there's your hands, but you can also just have like a bad migraine and you can't look at the screen. There's so many things that can just ruin your time playing, and I think that's why these controllers are amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really hope Sony either makes their own, but Microsoft is a phenomenal hardware company. Just let them use the damn thing on it. Get over yourself. We already have Xbox Game Studios logo pop up when you're playing Minecraft now. I think they're fine if some branded thing helps everyone's accessibility, but
I agree.
That's just me.
I fully agree.
I really hope it comes at some point. But yeah, sorry. That was my little tangent. I just love this controller.
Yeah, it's awesome. One of the things that I would love to see is obviously Sony doing something like this, but like if even there was more of a universal controller that worked with everything, the PC, Xbox,
It'd be nice, but I think
rather than having two different controllers, because I would imagine that, I mean, that base, right? That's $100. I could only imagine how much money the other components and foot pedals and stuff cost on top of that. Mm-hmm. So to have one thing that is across the board for everything would be great.
Yeah. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
But Zach, we have one little last piece of news about how Sony and specifically Mark Cerny built the PS5 pretty much like for devs, but it was like a hard process to design the console just because they wanted to fit the specific needs. The article does go a little bit more into the SSD and why they built the SSD to be as powerful as it is. Granted, I think it's better than I believe than the one on the Series X and S, whatever, because they can't run Returnal apparently. But I'm sure the biggest problem that devs had all the time was loading screens all the time. That's why their focus was on this so hard. Yeah. Hell, want to play Skyrim on the Xbox 360 and PS3? Do you have about 45 minutes and want to cook an egg on your console while it tries to just go from, I don't know, Whiterun to Falkreath?
Yeah, dude.
Not even that far.
Honestly, low-key, I think that was actually kind of nice that it did do that, just because, like...
What, it took forever?
Well, yeah, in some ways or not, because that was like the downtime that like I'd be like, okay, let's respond to these texts, let's like do this. Whereas like I notice now I'm on my phone a lot less playing games just because of how fast this thing is, which isn't like a bad thing, but like also if I'm missing exactly, but I find myself I'm missing more texts that I otherwise wouldn't have.
You literally wear a phone on your wrist. I don't want to hear about how you miss texts. You have like 8 monitors in your room now, a MacBook, an iPad, your iPhone, and your Apple Watch, and I'm sure you have your Apple TV. I'm sure you can also have to say, Ron texted you, respond now.
Actually, I really do wish the Apple TV. I don't know if the newer Apple TVs do it, but I would love if the Apple TVs actually like displayed messages and stuff.
I didn't know Apple TVs did this until I saw Aaron watching TV downstairs, but I didn't know you can connect your AirPods to it. It makes total sense. But for so long, I've just wanted to...
I never knew that either.
Yeah, he has his AirPods. He'll put his AirPod Pros in and just watch TV.
No way.
Yeah, because I came down, I'm like, TV's muted, but he is watching it intently without captions. How the hell? And I see the AirPods. I'm like, that makes sense. And then I was like, Aaron, and he just like, what the brother? And he like takes it out, and like it pauses like once you take it out too. Like it'll pause the show.
That's awesome. I love that. Now you don't have to mess around with those like headphone jack splitters. You can just connect as many AirPods as you want to something, and like everyone can watch. So that's actually really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in this article, Cerny does talk about how developers are the main thing that when originally designing the PS5, like they had a huge long list, a longer list than they had for any consoles, because a lot of it was trying to include features that they weren't able to squeeze into the PS4, as well as what developers wanted. And him having a game developer background, he thought it was very important to just talk with them and figure out what they wanted, specifically with the NVMe SSD having a read speed of at least 1 gigabyte per second. That came from Epic Games founder Tom Sweeney, talking about how the consoles in the past, like one of the biggest things is the speed.
Yeah. And how they're making the new Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be like, no, we like kind of need this.
Yeah, exactly. And Cerny describes these meetings with these developers as like brutal at times with what they're not demanding, but what they want to see and what they want and how they'll work that all into a console. But he says that they're the most meaningful things. So he said he would rather have brutal meetings with developers of like what they expect and what they would like to see in the PS5, as opposed to just easier like, oh yeah, that's cool type of meetings, because that is what pushes the PS5 and what it pushes their hardware to be more easier for developers to make games for, but also push further and really get the most out of what they're making.
One important thing to note too is that when Epic Games did once a read speed of 1 gigabyte per second, the SSD in the PS5 now is capable of raw data reading it at 5.5 gigabytes per second too.
Yeah.
So they kind of went a more above and beyond on that too, which is really, really important.
Yeah.
To do.
Exactly. You know, I remember whenever we had the PS4 before the PS5 came out. I remember like looking at games like Ghost of Tsushima and everything, thinking like, dude, how? I guess it's just hardware now that they're going to improve these graphics. I don't know if they're ever going to get better. Wow.
That's just always what's said.
Yeah, I know.
How could they do better? Blah blah blah. Because they always build towards consoles, somewhat PC, like in just graphic fidelity, because they need that. But
I remember playing Modern Warfare 2 whenever it came out, being like, whoa, this is the most realistic game I've ever seen in my life. This is crazy. X, Y, and Z. And you know, now you look at the new Call of Duty and you're like, that looks so much better than Modern Warfare 2. So, yeah. But this video, it was on Wired. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube if you type in, you know, Mark Cerny PS5.
It's titled "How PlayStation 5 Was Built," featuring Mark Cerny.
Yeah, he gets into the PS5 and really breaks down every component. This is just a bit that he talks about and like how the developers have influenced the design, but he really breaks down every piece of technology in it and talks about how it works and everything in the grand scheme. So, if you're interested in that at all, definitely give that a look, because it's really interesting. So, yeah.
And Zach, that's all the news we have for today.
That is all the news we have for today. Yeah.
If you want to reach out to us once a week, every week, we will read your questions once a week, every week, at AskPSPonies@gmail.com. That is AskPSPonies. They don't even have to really be questions, just comments, concerns, issues, hatred towards us, which would be kind of weird, but you know, if we hit the wrong audience, you know, bam, it's gonna get a lot of hate. But that's fine with me. That means we have a lot more ears listening to this too.
You can't be loved, let's be hated, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also reach out to us on just PSPonies on Twitter, twitter.com/PSPONIES. Go follow us, tweet at us, be nice to us, whatever. We don't really care. If you're rude to us, we just won't go on it. Crazy how that works. But yeah, that's all I have for today.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you didn't know, the podcast we record every Monday-ish. It's Sunday right now, but we always post on Tuesdays. YouTube version on Wednesdays. You can find us on pretty much every podcasting experience you would like, unless there's a new one that I'm unaware of. But yeah, Stitcher, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google. We love seeing everyone everywhere. So
I like Spotify the most. But if any of them want to give us an exclusive deal, I hate Spotify, and I'll use your product over anything else.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and we will catch you all next week.
Bye.